Welcome to the Gravitational podcast. Today we are joined by the incredible Gabby Beckford. Gabby, welcome to Gravitational.
Thank you so much for having me. I know this is going to be a fantastic conversation. We were already vibing so much before the camera started rolling. And yeah, I know we're going to dig into some fun stuff today. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. We were talking earlier about how crazy it is that we ended up actually in the same place at the same time.
No, same zip code is crazy.
It's astronomical.
It's improbable.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, insane. You have such a cool story, which is why I'm so excited for this. Tell us who Gabby is.
Right. What's not on the LinkedIn resume? I am a travel influencer by trade now for the past 3 years. I am a full-time traveler, digital nomad, recently based in New York City. That's actually kind of an announcement. As of 60 days ago, I'm now based here. Thank you. So excited. I have a SaaS platform. I do a lot of travel education opportunities. Talk about living with curly hair and traveling full time. We'll get into that, I'm sure. And yeah, my whole thing is I want to help women live a life of adventure on their terms. Period.
I love that.
Blank.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm sure I've talked about this at some point, but I'm an expat, and so I joke that I live my life on planes.
Right.
Which I think is why I vibe so well with your content, and it was hilarious because I've been following you since probably 2019.
OG days.
Yeah. So was following you there, amazing, love, obsessed. Being at every accomplishment. Fast forward to 2022, one of my clients is playing in the US Open.
Okay,
and
actually.
Yeah, exactly. And I end up with a bunch of tickets, connected with a friend, and was like, hey, we're gonna collaborate, right? That's how I ended up meeting Anaya. She was one of my guests.
Oh,
and so,
my cousin.
Yeah, shout out to Anaya. So you then did an Instagram live
where we
later,
discovered each
and
other.
I was like, sorry, what? And so just crazy,
Kismet.
Exactly.
Literally.
And now here we are.
Wow. And it's just gaggy because the story of how I actually met Anaya, if you saw that, was also absolutely unhinged. Kismet.
Yeah.
She's not my first cousin. We went to barbecues together growing up. I met her randomly in a different country, and we found out later we were cousins. So, I'm here right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, butterfly effect.
No, literally.
Reference to you. There we go.
I wish that was a brand part. No, I'm so late to that. No,
exactly. No, we'll send this to you so you can get the partnership before it goes live, and then we can plug. Yeah.
Let me get the good.
Amazing. Okay, so tell us about that. How did you and Anaya find out you were cousins?
Jeez, what a crazy story. So the long and short of it was 2021. 2020 had stalled my plans to travel full time. I don't know if you heard there was a pandemic.
I saw something about that somewhere.
Right, yeah. It was really local thing. 2021, traveling full time. I had just flown into Italy, and I had no plans. I had a month there. I was in Milan, and I posted on Instagram, I think, hey, anyone who knows me relatively in the area? And she responded, I think, just saying, hey, I live nearby. And I was like, oh my God, I would love to, come out to you, an hour train ride, visit you. We hang out, we kiki, we become good friends. I'm like, oh my God, you're Jamaican, you have New York roots. I'm Jamaican, my dad from New York too, small world. I think literally the first time I met her, I was like, wouldn't it be crazy if we were, cousins or something?
That's so funny.
And it's not that crazy to have a Jamaican in New York, actually. So we said that for fun, but not unlikely. Fast forward a year later, I'm on 23andMe with my actual sister, scrolling through it in Mexico, and I see a name, and I'm like, Anaya, and I send a screenshot to Anaya. I'm like, girl, this girl has the same spelling as your name. Isn't that cute? She's like, no, that's my full Gubby. That's
me.
Baby, that's me on your 23andMe. The little numbers,
right.
And I click on it, and we're second cousins, third cousins.
That's so funny.
And I'm at her wedding the next year, baby shower the next year, and now we are full cousins.
That's so funny.
This small world, by chance.
Right. And the fact that I guess there's something in the blood of your family about the travel bug.
That she's a travel influencer too.
Insane.
I was gagged.
What are the chances? Crazy.
But at the same time,
it
makes sense for the plot.
It tracks.
I'm looking
at it.
Yeah. And then that's the story of my whole life is that makes no sense, but I'm gonna go with it.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic lead into what you're doing now. Very different from where your career started.
100%.
Okay, so talk to us about that. What, for those who are not familiar with your story, what did you go to school for? What did you come out of school doing?
Right. Yeah, that's a journey in and of itself too. So I Went into college, biomedical engineering major. Kiki, but I hated it. So wait. So I graduated, ended up graduating with a statistics degree. Became an engineer anyway. Actually, that worked out because like, why was I suffering to become like any degree can make you an engineer? I found out that later. I'm like, I'm so glad I did that. So became an engineer. Did that for 2 years. That also sucked. I was commuting like 4 hours a day. I was in a building with no windows. Literally no windows. I would go in at 5 a.m., work all day, no windows, leave. The sun had set. 6 p.m. In the winter, I had days without sunlight. Like I was like, wow, this is 23, huh? This is what
life. Vibes are not vibes.
Oh my god, wait, this is the prime time of my youth, and I am a shell of my former self. This is weird. So that's when the plotting, I had like Paxlight was just a side hobby. It was a side hustle, really. I was making like maybe $500 a month consistently-ish. And I was like, wait, we need to scale that up because this cannot be the 20s. This cannot be the plot. Like, I do everything for the plot. This is not a good story. This sucks. I was like, I don't care about the money. This is a horrible story.
Right.
So I ramped it up, and by 2020, literally February 2020, foreshadowing, I was like, quit my job. Quit my job. I'm making $1,000 a month now. We're going to go full time. And yeah, pandemic hit. But that was me before. I was a girl in STEM. I got my first job at NSBE, National Society of Black Engineers. Love it. Bea. Like, I was a girl in STEM.
Yeah.
In government STEM. Like, I was like, TC coded.
Yeah.
And then now, like, 180.
So you were almost a special agent.
Yeah, no, I was in CIS, right.
And I feel like you kind of are in a way, still?
You know, I have been held up at security airports before, like, are you a spy?
Exactly.
Sexy of you to think I'm Carmen Sandiego. No, please don't arrest me. Right.
Exactly.
Other end of the spectrum. But yeah,
right.
In a sexy way, though.
Right. I can see it.
Right.
I can see it. Yeah.
Government, please, I'm not a spy.
Exactly. No, she's not a spy, and when she's randomly selected at TSA, it's actually not random. We're used to it.
They're
expected.
No, exactly.
Yeah, it's just, if I can plan for it, then it's not random, is it?
Exactly.
No.
It's less sexy than
Yeah,
the story.
exactly. No, I love what you said about the plot.
Yeah.
Because I say that all the time. I have always said, I'm like, I'm doing it for the story. Like,
No, yeah.
For me, it's all about the stories. Like,
Right.
duh. Where have you always been a storyteller? Like, where did that come from for you?
Oh, what a great question. I have always been a yapper. Like, chronic yapper, trouble in school for talking too much. Like, I think when I was a kid, you could say I lied to my parents sometimes. Not because I was a bad kid, but because the truth just wasn't that interesting. Like, what'd you do at school? Nothing. Babe, no. Let me tell you, a kid died.
What?
No, that's not true. I'm sorry. But come on. Like, we're, please. So
Yeah.
I've always been someone who I love entertainment. I love being for the plot. I love, why do the boring thing when I could do the adventurous thing? So I've always had that in my personality. But at the same time, immigrant dad drilled into me doctor, lawyer, engineer, financial security, kind of, sadly, scarcity mindset about money. Like, this is your last dollar. Don't waste it.
Right.
Don't. Oh my God. So really, had to.
Like, but I booked the flight.
For fun. So, I mean, honestly, having immigrant dad, love my dad, has kept me, financially smart. So I graduated without student loans. That's, a huge, I, credit that to a lot of the freedom I've had past graduation because I just haven't had to worry. I avoided stress. So that's been great. And, not going into credit card debt. Stuff like that travel and, Kiki, I'm going to travel around the world can get you into really easily. Luckily, I've been able to avoid, I really do credit a lot of my success and, even just the lack of stress to that because money stress is not cute. But, yeah.
So you are, I was having this conversation with somebody else who was like, I don't know if I consider myself a founder because she has a podcast, a wildly successful podcast, mind you,
Love.
the high ranking, it's not a side gig. But she's like, I don't know if I consider myself a founder. So do you consider yourself a founder?
Being chronically on LinkedIn, it kind of is something that you have to consciously decide within yourself that no, what I'm doing is not have to be compared to the Hinge founder or the Fortune 500 company. I have a startup and I am a founder. So yes, I am, but I would say that I had to convince myself to claim it too. Yeah. It's not that easy. Being a woman of color, being a Black woman. That's a question people ask me a lot, are you sure you're a founder? You're like, don't gaslight me. Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's my belief is if you've started your thing and whatever it is and you're standing on that and you're building that and you're enjoying it, you're a founder. And arguably even when you're not enjoying it, then that makes you more of a founder.
I'm paying taxes like a founder. I have employees like a founder.
Right. Yeah. So you get to wear that proudly.
I do.
Yeah. So do you have entrepreneurs, founders in your family? Are you the first? What does that look like for you?
That's a great question. I think that my dad, for sure, being Jamaican, 13 jobs. Always had 13 jobs, always had a side hustle, always hustling for like the financial security. So when my dad has his own business now, but he started that when I was out of high school. So I was 18 when he like officially launched his LLC, and it's government contracting, the DC world we grew up in, and now it's wildly successful, like $1 million company. Shout out to my dad.
Yay.
So yes, he's an entrepreneur. Yeah, shout out to daddy. Yeah, he's an entrepreneur. My mom too has entrepreneurial things. She does a lot of stock trading stuff, like my mom. And it's funny because both my parents are pretty young. They had me at 21 and 23, I think. Love them both, but we have kind of grown up together. Yeah. By the time I was 18, I think they were placed mentally where they're like, oh, we should investigate like entrepreneurship. So it's been kind of cool that I've seen them develop in their own entrepreneurial journey while I had too. And yeah, I think my dad was a little, when I first was like, I'm gonna quit my job. Yeah. The government job, yeah, I'm gonna quit that. Yeah. Like, dummy, but now he's on board. He's drank the Kool-Aid. He loves it.
Yeah. So does he pack light as well when is he a traveler?
He is. He was in the military. Okay. 17 years old, he joined the military. So he's always traveled for work. I think he has a little travel bug for fun inside of him. Yeah. Like, he's not afraid to travel. He does pack his bags. Actually, my dad remarried my stepmom, who's from Japan, and they go back to Japan every summer. Nice. So they do travel. They pack heavy as though. So no.
Definitely not team carry-on.
6 bags. Bags. But they're bringing stuff back too. So
it's the way I have never met an airline that I would have that much faith in.
Okay, because statistically 2 are gone. Right.
Absolutely.
2 weeks
later.
Like
as soon as you check them.
No, right.
You see them on the belt and then they disappear before they even get to the back.
Yeah, you see a stranger be like, yeah.
Exactly.
You know, right.
You're like, that's how it is. Yeah.
Right. But no, yeah, they pack heavy.
Yeah.
I didn't get it from them.
Yeah. And so you'll keep doing your work, and we're trying
to start grassroots at home.
Yeah, right.
It's not in fact working.
You're like the image. We've got to keep up the optics. You're not.
The optics are not optic right now. Yeah. Exactly.
It's okay. We'll zoom out. We won't look too closely.
Please, we're censoring this bags, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you are now based in New York.
I am, as of less than 2 months ago.
Why here?
What a great question. So I've been traveling full-time digital nomad for the past 3 years, since that January 2021 traveling. Yeah. And I have loved it, really. Like, that's how I've met Anaya. That's how I've grew a lot of my following. That's how I've had bucket list adventures. Oh my God, Day of the Dead in Mexico and New Year's Eve in Dubai and just all this stuff, like bucket list. But it has been tiring too. Like, and it's not even the actual travel, because I don't mind a flight. People are like, flight, living out of a suitcase. That's actually not the worst part. The worst part is the mental load of being by yourself and having to think, what am I going to eat today? What am I going to do tomorrow? Who am I going to meet tomorrow? Am I going to work tomorrow? Where am I going to be next week? Oh, I need to get mail. Like, the mental load of existing solo as a woman is like already there, let alone traveling full time around the world, visa, oh my gosh. So that's been kind of, okay, it's less fun than that. That part is less fun than it was before. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be part-time digital nomad, have an apartment, keep all my stuff in it, and be able to just, instead of just have one, kind of go back to it.
Yeah.
So that was the plan, and JFK just makes sense as a major hub to fly in and out of. That's the hub I was always flying in and out of the most. But also New York City, I think mental health-wise, as someone who loves traveling, it's like you're traveling when you're here. I walk down the street, I hear Russian, I hear French, I hear Swahili. My neighbor is from Cote d'Ivoire. Like, that's okay. Yeah. You're keeping the vibes going. You can get any food you want. That's really it. It was like mental health, and then like logistically, this made sense. Financially, no, very expensive here, but it's okay.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's because it's for the story.
And I'm here now.
Exactly.
I couldn't do this if I wasn't here.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I feel like it's the things that are like so obvious about the constant travel. Yeah. You're like, no, like it's actually not. Like, I knew when I started this that I was going to be on flights. I knew when I started this that I'd be living out of a suitcase, but it's the other stuff of like, I need to do paperwork.
Answering, where do you live?
Exactly.
And then like
Exactly. The last minute hotel bookings, which are sometimes fun, but like much more when somebody else
receiving
is doing
mail.
It. Yeah,
dating. That's a lot.
Girl, let's talk about it.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about it. Because I always get is everybody's always like, oh my gosh, that should be so much fun. Yeah. Like, you're all over all the time. And I'm like, right. But the way my brain works, in certain scenarios, yes.
No, it's great for the plot.
It's great for the plot.
To a point.
Exactly. I feel like it doesn't carry over to the next chapter.
It does not.
So what are your thoughts?
I agree with you 100% that if there's layers to like fun, intimacy, even just the things you do. Like, I would like to travel and know someone long enough to be like, oh, we should go on a trip together. But, like, a few days, a few weeks in and out, like, am I telling my friends about you when I'm going to be leaving in a week? No.
Exactly.
Like, I don't get to have the kiki as much. Or I dated someone, actually, when I was traveling full-time, but then it has to be long distance, because I'm not going to stop for a man, please.
Right. The flights are already booked.
I'm so sorry. So you book the flight or we're long distance, which I tried. But yeah, no, you just, it's, I mean, maybe it's the age range we're into that I haven't met a man yet who also has the same mindset of like, let me travel full time. Let me work for myself. Let me have a flexible schedule, like the same priorities.
Yeah.
Who's also gorgeous. So I'm sorry. But
right. Well, I mean, exactly. I've always made the joke that I have to want to take pictures with you.
No, but.
Like, social media aside, like fundamentally,
like for our children,
if I have to preface when you know the preface you do when you're about to show the picture to your friends and it's a bad picture. Okay, it's just not his angle.
I can't defend it like that.
No,
right.
You have to be able to hold your own. Yeah,
right. I need them to be like, oh, that's perfect. And I'm like, oh,
he must be nice, right?
He looks kind.
Yeah, he's got kind eyes. No, you can't do it.
Right, 100%. So dating, the brand of guy I found who's also a traveler right now is not looking to like settle down right now. Kind of backpacky, which isn't the vibe right now.
No.
So maybe we'll see. Because I'm in New York now, but I might be full-time digital nomad again. Yeah. Like I'm not. People are like, oh, she retired.
Yeah. Okay, first of all,
relax, babe.
I didn't say that.
I'm in my head down like in the global streets sooner than we think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like there are already flights booked.
Currently.
Yeah. Right. So it's a matter of time.
Yeah. But for now, I'm enjoying it. I mean, this summer actually, I canceled all my trips for June, July because I want to be in the city. Yeah. I want to be in the apartment. I want to do stuff like this. I want to be available and be around. So I'm enjoying it.
That's so exciting. I'm looking forward to that in this next chapter because I feel like when, like you were saying, people are like, oh, where do you live? And I'm like, well, on paper, I live in Portugal.
Legally, Portugal.
But here I am. So, like, you do the math.
And that's the other thing is I feel like if you're not talking to a traveler, it's like, okay, are they asking where I'm from? Are they asking why I'm brown? Are they asking where they can send mail? Like, what are you actually asking?
What information do you need from me?
What are you looking for?
Exactly.
Right.
We'll work backwards.
Where am I most often?
Right.
Or where did I live the long? Like, what do you want?
Exactly.
What are we doing?
Exactly. Here? Let's ask a better question.
Let's ask better questions, actually, and then I want them to be confused. Yeah. But actually now just saying, I live in New York. Yeah. It's a nice, we can move past it.
Exactly. Yeah. We cross that off and move on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you are a notorious solo traveler.
I am. Love it.
Obsessed.
Right.
Yes. And so I had a trip that solidified that for me.
Okay, tell.
So I did a month-long, like, Europe trip. This was 2 years, I think, after we moved there. And I was like, this is so cute. I've lived in Portugal for 2 years, based in Europe, and I have seen Portugal, the inside of Schiphol, and the inside of CDG. That's really it. Any other European country I've seen has been from vacation before I moved here. I'm not going to leave living in Europe and have traveled more in the States than I have Europe.
Not a great story.
So I was like, no, we're carving the time out. This is what we're going to do.
Yes.
So did that with friends. I love the idea of it too.
The idea of it was great.
It was on that trip about 5 days into the month and change that I was like, I'm a solo traveler.
You were like, I've been here 1 minute.
Yeah. So I am curious, did you always, like, your first big trip was a solo trip?
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you leading up to it? Was that I'm not about to wait for somebody else to book the flight, like, I'm going for the story, like, and how has that evolved?
Right. That is a great question. So my first solo trip, I was 17 years old. I had just graduated high school, like 1 month out of high school. Yeah. And I had just been accepted to a university like 2 hours from home, like in the same state. So I'm like, like right here, that's great. That's a terrible story with them. So I was like, what can I do this summer to like better plot, but also like I went to high school in Stafford, Virginia, which is, you've never heard of it? You're blessed. It's like small. There was a gigantic Confederate flag hanging over the highway. Yeah. Like that was the vibe. Yeah. Not fun.
We love.
Right. Obsessed. Like country pumpkin chic. Chic. So I was like going to college and I'm like, I need something that's gonna like, just for myself, I want my eyes to be open to opportunities. Like when I go to college, I want to travel more. I want to meet more worldly people. I want to discover more about myself. I do not want to go into it with the mindset of like, everyone here is hillbilly, or like, no, I'm not gonna make friends, like whatever. That I wanted to shift my own mindset. So I was like, what better way to do that than really just shock the system? Like that was the solo trip for me, and I did not ask anyone to go. I did not want anyone to go with me. I wanted to go by myself. I chose Iceland specifically because I knew it was safe. Like they don't even have snakes or spiders. Like it's literally sheep outside and then human beings. So I'm like, okay, we're great. And it's like, I think statistically, if not number one, number two safest country in the world. So I'm like, okay, statistically we're gonna be all right. So yeah, that's why I chose it. And I went there, I went backpacking, met an entirely new group of people. It was hard. Like everyone's like, how was it? Was it beautiful? No, I hated it. It was so cold. I hate the cold. Why did I choose Iceland? Yeah. It was freezing cold. It was blistering wind, scorching death. It was rough. There were times where I was crying at night. There were times where I was like, I'm a backpacker. I'm like walking up these gigantic volcanic mountains. Like, what am I doing here? I ask myself that probably every 5 minutes. What am I doing here? Why am I by myself? Why am I the only black girl? Why am I the youngest by 5 years? Like, what am I doing here? And like, actually now looking back at it, it gives very much like pilgrimage. It gives like Moses parting the seas. Like it was my origin story in the making, and I didn't even know it. But something inside me told me I needed to go through that journey of like, what am I doing here? Like that was the question. Like I never actually thought about that. Like that was the question I was asking myself, and maybe it was in a broader sense of like, what do I want from life? Like where are we going from here? And it was exactly what I needed. And by the end of it, I remember thinking, this was hard. This was so hard. But I would rather do this 10 more times than go back to Stafford, Virginia. And that was what clicked in my head. Like, ooh, we like challenging ourselves. We like growing. We like, if I did this again, I think it would be easier, actually. I feel like I've grown as a person. That was, I think, the thing with the solo travel is like, I don't know what I need, but I know I'm not going to find it here. We got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something so magical about the person that you have to be, the version of yourself that you have to become. I feel like, yes, your first solo trip for sure, but every solo trip you take, you come back a new person in some form. What do you think are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned in your solo travels?
One of my favorite things about traveling solo is that you have choice. You do have freedom. That I can land in Bangkok and be like, I was really crampy and pissed off the last destination I was in. I was like not friendly to people. I was not talking to like the cashier. I was like, thanks, bye. And I could literally upon the plane landing, I decide for myself, I'm gonna be the most friendly version of myself here. I'm gonna meet everybody. I'm gonna make new friends. I'm gonna go to the hostel bar. I'm gonna go to the events. Like I'm gonna put myself out there. And you can like, who's gonna tell you that you can't? Who's gonna be like, well, that's not you? Like really, with that attitude, like no, I get to decide the new version of myself at every single step. That is so freeing for me. And I think that I take that back with me now when I'm in the US. Like, I can be having a bad day and be like, I simply decide that I'm having a good day now. And I've trained myself that, like, you really have, like, you're the master of your own destiny type stuff. So I think that's a lesson that you can say you understand, but until you trial and error it and, like, really do it for yourself and choose your fate over and over again like that, you never really see, like, wow, I control my life really in so many ways. I think a lot of society or a lot of people think like, oh, things happen, or like, go with the flow, or like if you can't change it, accept it. And I think after solo traveling, I'm like, we have so much power. We have so much power over ourselves, over what we want, over our boundaries, over like our direction of our lives. I feel like I have a lot stronger vision. Like that's the biggest lesson is like, if you have a vision, it's probably right there. If you can own it and like take responsibility and be like, yeah, I do want to do that. I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah. I saw a quote the other day that I think has like quickly become one of my new favorites that says, you want it because your future self already has it. I was like, I love that. Ooh. Like, I love that. And I feel like that fits so perfectly with what you were just saying. Like, the reason that if you already have the vision, it's because it's like, it's right on the other side of like,
Future you is like, babe.
Yeah,
like
we already have it.
Follow this.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. I love that. Yeah, I love that.
How have you taken this approach to leading your team? Because you're also, we were talking about, obviously, you are a founder.
Yeah.
And I think I always laugh when people are like, if you like open a headquarters, like where are you going to be based? And I was like, haha, funny. How do you approach team culture, mindset? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I have a fantastic team, and it has taken a long time to build. So that's the first thing is like, we're all remote. I'm on different time zones. Yeah. They're fully remote. Like my right hand, she was just in Chile and Argentina for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, I can't even be like, well, you're out of the office. Babe, there's no office. I'm in Japan. So yeah, it's a lot of communication. It is a lot of time in like investing in the right person and people. I have personally wasted a lot of money in like hiring based on a resume and then be like, not a culture fit, or hiring for the culture fit, they don't have the skills, or like just a lot of trial and error in hiring people. But once you find that like magic person who loves the mission, who understands the vibe, who just like really is competent and just like picks up things quickly, asks you questions, manages upwards, it's huge. So really I think it is just the discipline and boundaries of like finding the right people who want to be there, who wanted to go on that journey with you. And then systems in place. I'm a Notion babe. I'm on automations babe. I'm actually working, like we hired an automations consultant to come into the business to be like, what are we redundant? Yeah. What are we doing? What am I doing manually that could be automated? Like, and that's it. Efficiency, automations, like AI is big right now. Like, where can I be trimming the fat of I'm doing menial stuff that a machine or an assistant could do? That's been huge.
Yeah. Does that perspective and insight, you think, come from your engineering background? Or is that like, I feel like it's an interesting mix because efficiency is like, you've got to be efficient as you're traveling, especially the way you were traveling, right? So I feel like it's an interesting mix of like your engineering background, but also in like practice day in and day out of like, we're playing Tetris with a carry-on, you know? So like, where do you think that message is driven home for you?
No, I love that. And I think there is such a crossover there that I rarely get to talk about, that I have a Scrum certification as an engineer. It's like agile, like it is about thinking strategically and like working with systems and everything like that. And then literally the whole ethos of PAX Light is like being extremely intentional about what you bring in your carry-on. Packing light, like knowing that, like bring the stuff that matters and leave the stuff that doesn't. Like it is kind of the same strategic, but like kind of intuition-based mindset. So yeah, there's a lot of crossover there, and I do think it has, I think I credit being a girl in STEM to that. I think it is like scientific method, like just really being disciplined, creating templates. And I think it sometimes as a creative, outside of the scientific engineering of it all, it can feel like you need to like recreate the wheel, or you need to be creative in everything you do. Like I need to be original. I need to like, what's new about this? And I think the engineering side of me shows me that like once you get the systems in place, you can be creative on top of that. But you should not be recreating the small menial stuff. Like not every email has to have a new beautiful intro. It can say hello and you move past it.
Right.
So yeah, stuff like that. That's the mindset for sure. Also the STEM girls.
Yeah, we love a girl in STEM.
We love a Black woman in STEM. Me too.
You have become, I think, the queen of PTO.
I think so.
I think so.
I would say.
Yeah. And well, I'll let you explain. But okay, talk to us about what does PTO stand for in the PAX Light world. Let's start there.
Right. So PTO, paid travel opportunities, not paid time off. Though there's a lot of alignment there because I'm paying you to take time off, or like a company's paying you to take time off, but it's not the company you work for. So let's say a paid travel opportunity for me was when I was working full time. I found a cultural exchange to South Korea. It was fully funded. It had a scholarship. It paid for flights, food, accommodation, activities, everything. And people were like, why would people pay for me to go on vacation? And I'm like, yeah, the thing is, it's not quite you peeking and like doing nothing. Like I was in Korean language classes. I was going to cultural sites. I was like, it's a cultural exchange program. So there's a lot of intent behind it, but it was a free trip. So that's what I consider a PTO. And I think that those opportunities, whether they're cultural exchanges or travel contests or like baby study abroad or whatever, if they're funded, they just allow a lot of access to people who may not otherwise have a reason to travel, a way to travel, or the confidence and the logistical skills to travel. Like I want to take a big trip. I'm 20, let's say. I have no idea where to start. A PTO is the best way to start. And that's why that was me. Yeah. When I started this, I started the PTO dashboard when I was, I think, a year out of a year graduating from college, about to graduate from college. And I was like, I am broke and I want to travel. How do they meet? Where is the reality in which I travel? And I found kind of this way to do it. And that's why I started collecting them and sharing them. And now I've helped hundreds of people win hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of just travel experiences specifically. Yeah, I would say the queen of paid travel opportunities. Because I invented it.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. And that was something that was so eye-opening for me when I first found your blog and the work that you were doing. I was like, why was nobody talking about this before?
Right.
Like, explain. So no, I love that, and congratulations on all that I feel like you've grown so quickly, but I'm sure that you feel like it has not been that quick.
I mean, it can be quicker.
Yeah, right.
You know?
But no, it's been so cool seeing Paxlight taking over, and especially like I feel like the whole like girls travel world.
Yeah.
You've been a very heavy influence in. So it's been really cool to see that.
I so appreciate that. Like last year, so I find PTOs, like I said, the culture exchange, what I found, and I share it. But last year, for the first time, I was able to sponsor my own from Paxlight. So I sent 3, it was 2 girls and 1 guy. I sent them all on a study abroad redo. Yeah. So all of them had their study abroads ruined by the pandemic, or had just weren't able to afford study abroad when they were in college or whatever. Like, and they're like, there's no second chances in life, but if I could, I would redo my study abroad. I'm like, I can do that. Yeah. Second chance. Why not? Like, love breaking the limitations of your minds. Like, oh, there's no second chances. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna fix that. So I sent them abroad, and they loved it, and like that was so beautiful. I did it again. Yeah. I brought 3 young women with me to Brazil Carnival with me. Yes. And that was fully funded, fully free for them through Intrepid Travel, which out the sponsors. Yes. So yeah, just being able to like, I want to travel. I have no idea where to get, like, how to make it happen. I'm like, I know how to make it happen. So I feel like I have a lot of. It's kind of like, I don't say a responsibility, but I'm like, if I see a way, I'm a connector. If I see a way to do it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to not. Like, I need to do that. Right. I'm like nosy. I'm like, no, like, let me fix that. Exactly. So, yeah, it's really been beautiful seeing people travel, and they're like, I would have never done this without you. I would have never had a way, or had the money, had the confidence to do it. I'm like, yeah, no, we love that. It's the Paxlight effect. It kind of is the Paxlight effect. It's real. Yeah, there we go. So I love that you are so transparent with your real thoughts, your real experiences, wherever you go. How was your Carnival experience in Brazil? I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and it's crazy because Brazil is the country with the highest percentage of Black population outside of Africa, like the country. So I knew that, and I was like, I'm excited to see it. But then the feedback I heard from other people who had been to Brazil, general other people, like social media, was like, be careful. Like, literally be so careful. Like, hey, what? Don't take that step. Like, literally so much fear and anxiety around it. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing other people. We need to be like on our P's and Q's. And that was the energy going into it. And then the reality of it was that and during Carnival, which is like, tourist time. Right. Beautiful. I felt very safe. Yeah. And I posted videos about feeling like that. And I'm like, is that controversial? Like, I feel like you guys lied. Like, literally, I feel like you lied. And then the social media had a big uptick of Brazil content in general, and I started seeing a lot of Black and brown people be like, I had a great time. I wasn't afraid I was going to get pickpocketed. Yeah. And I was like, maybe this narrative was coming from not us, actually. Mm-hmm. So that was my experience in Brazil. I had a beautiful time. It was like, I was on Copacabana, absolutely gorgeous, beautiful experience with the people and the reason I was there, of course, but like, I'm like, wait, I need to come back and spend a month here. Yeah. And and like, that's the whole ethos too of Paxlight. I was like, I'm so glad I went for myself, because y'all be lying, or like y'all be speaking for things that you may not know the full truth about. So I'm like, I'm happy I went for myself. Yeah. I say that all the time, because I'm like, Paris was one of the like most polarizing, I think. Love or hate. There's no in between. Exactly. Which I still think is hilarious. But I told people I was going to Paris for the first time, and that was like my bucket list trip. I was like, that city since I was like 6. It's like, I'm gonna go to Paris. Wow. She's gonna be great. It's gonna be a whole fairy tale, like amazing. And as the trip is actually like, we're getting to that point, I am telling people, I'm like, yeah, we're going to Paris, we're going to Italy, amazing, can't wait. Like, oh, be careful in Paris. Right. And I was suddenly, like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, like, people get robbed, racism, all the things. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so first of all, in hindsight, and I was shook about this when we got there, but I was like, why is this like the most concentrated Black people I've seen in Europe? Yeah. Because we're everywhere. Yeah. Didn't see that coming. Beauty supply stores, easy to find. That's actually a huge blessing. Exactly. Insane. Wow. Exactly. But I think it's so funny how people have
these experiences, even if they're like in the grand scheme, and you won't hear the disclaimer ever.
Right.
It's like, yeah, hated Paris, would never go again. I was there for 12 hours and like I just left the airport. Like, why don't you lead with that?
I want that to be in the front.
Why don't
part.
you lead with that?
I needed to know that part.
Because
like, exactly. Why are you speaking? Actually,
you saw the airport. That's basically it.
Right. Well, they stayed in this 2-block radius. Actually,
exactly. The food was so expensive. Where'd you go? The restaurant right outside the Louvre.
No,
you don't say.
Exactly. Wait, what? Yeah, I got robbed. What were you doing? Well, it was 5 a.m. and I was drunk, and I did put my bag down, and I.
Exactly. Right in front of the Eiffel Tower. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right.
I think it might have been you who said it. Funny enough, because that's hilarious. I really think it was you. I'm going to go back and look, because I quote this often. But I think this was around like the Black Lives Matter movement. And you were talking about safety when traveling, because you get those questions all the time. And you're like, listen, if you're from the U.S.
I was just about to say that. I know it was me, because I was like,
yeah,
we're from New York.
And that completely, because I was never like explicitly concerned about more than general safety.
Right.
I was like, it's the same, like humans are humans.
Right.
So the same BS that you're gonna deal with
There's
in
a
New
guy
York,
walking his dog.
it's just gonna be in Italian.
Like,
you know,
it's different font.
Exactly.
How much crazier could it really be?
Exactly.
Right.
So no, I do. I quote that. I quote you all the time. Hilarious.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I was just about to say that. Like people, I mean, imagine telling someone from the Bronx being like, go to Paris. Watch out.
Right.
But please, if you're from a big city, especially if you're a woman of color, you're a woman at all, you already have this sense of awareness. You already have like, let me not be out till 5 a.m. actually.
Exactly.
Let me not get into a car with someone I don't know. Like you're here.
Exactly.
So the people I think again who have a little more freedom, a little more privilege to act reckless in their daily lives, they go other places and act shocked when stuff happens. I'm like, that's because you're not practicing normal safety in your normal life.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to.
Exactly.
We do. We're fine. You're fine.
Yeah. You'll be okay.
You're fine. There's a lady pushing her baby in a stroller. Like
exactly.
People are not feral. Like
right.
Like it's that's the image that's painted. Right?
Yeah.
Paris, please.
Exactly.
And did you love it?
Exactly.
Like I'm happy I went. I'm happy you guys. I just let you steer me away.
Yeah. Loved it. I still the most common feedback that I get, because I still like I go back to Paris every chance I get, because it's so close to Portugal as well. Like it's one of the easiest countries to get to, and every time I like bring that up and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Paris, or I was there and like I just ended a stopover. People are like, yeah, either they love it, like you said, or like it's so dirty, and I'm like,
they say that it's so dirty.
What exactly do you mean? You mean the garbage on the street on garbage day? Like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
What exactly do you mean? Did you
like,
not?
People just smoke cigarettes a lot. I'm like, well, is that like we're not being specific enough? I think with the feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's so funny because I don't hear you talking about LA like that. But
which is filthy. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But we won't be too controversial. I'm just not rushing to book a flight to LA anytime soon.
Right. No, yeah.
You already discussed the Queen of PTO. We're gonna have post-production put a little crown on your head. Where did you learn to negotiate? How did you get comfortable with, or maybe you're not, in knowing your worth and demanding that? And like, how does that? Because you obviously do your paid travel opportunities, but you also do collaborations on social, tourism boards. Like, so how did you get there?
Right. I love that question. I feel like, well, first of all, in the stuff that I do, I feel like people conflate the two. They're like paid travel opportunities and being a travel influencer. Like you have, like this is part of being a travel influencer. I'm like, no, wait. I was doing this when I was a broke college student.
Yeah.
And I'm just insane and love travel. And like I'm ultimately a travel influencer, completely separate. Like normal people, not civilians,
right.
can win paid travel opportunities. So I always have to like disclaim that. But I think it really did start with my dad. I give my dad credit. I mean, really, maybe it's the first generation, maybe it's the immigrant like hustle, is that he came to the U.S. like when he was 12 in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens, and was like going to school, joined the military when he was 17. He's always been a go-getter and very much like has a vision and goes after it. I think I get that from my dad. Growing up, literally, I think can't even think of an example right now, but there has to be a show or a movie where like it's the dad and then the daughter, and he's like here's what we do. Like, teaching her how to hunt, teaching her how to go to fish. Very much my dad with, like, social dynamics or, like, ambition. There was a time I remember very distinctly at the grocery store where I think it was 3 lines of, like when you're checking out, and 2 of them were so long, and the third one had just opened, so it was empty. And people, like, it was, like, 10 people in each line, and my dad was like, let's go. And we go up to the empty one, and I remember walking and being like, why are these people in the line? Like, this makes no sense. And I asked my dad, and he was like, people would rather stay, like, normal people would rather stay comfortable, or, like, it's too much effort to move, or, like, oh, I'll just wait another 5 minutes, like, just not a big deal. Where he's like, if you ever see me standing in a line like that where it makes no sense, I give you permission to, like, bop me in the head. I do, because, like, that is the 99% is like, it's not worth the trouble, it's not worth the effort, they don't want to ask if the line's open, like, they just don't want to make waves, they'll rather stay where they are. And he's like, we're not like that. You and me are not like that. We're going to go ask. We're going to go get in the other line. We're going to be the only ones. And so I think he, like, brainwashed that into me growing up, and I love it. And, like, that's a thing I get complimented on a lot now, that I think differently, or I'm not afraid to, like, social anxiety, who is she? Like, I'll walk up to someone and be like, where'd you get those shoes? And it's led me a lot of places in life, just not being complacent. So I think when I see a scholarship, I apply to it. If I want it, and I have the discipline, I think, too, to just be like, all right, this is going to take 3 hours to apply to. Let me block, like, it's a lot of discipline, it's a lot of boundaries, but it's also, like, I want what I want. So I'm willing to do the work because I want what I want. So, yeah, shout out to my dad.
Yeah. That's so funny, because I feel like as this conversation progresses, first of all, we have so much in common.
Love.
Second of all, I'm like, this is basically just 2 daddy's girls having a conversation.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Right.
Because no, same. And
I'm my dad's son, so that's basically it.
That's literally the joke. Literally the joke in my family.
Son, yeah.
My dad jokes that I am his oldest son.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Correct.
So, no, I think one of the pivotal points for me as it relates to negotiation, because one thing about me, I don't back down from a challenge, like
100%.
ever. Yeah, so, like, thankfully it wasn't huge in my circle, like the double dog dares, but if they had been, it would have been so dangerous.
Oh, you would have jumped off the bridge.
Exactly. Like, that hypothetical was never a good question for me if you wanted to drive the lesson of don't do it home. But my dad knew that and was like, we're
gonna use
let's
that
do it. And so I used to negotiate everything, basically, and I still do to some extent. But I was at the outlets one time, and he and I had been there, it was like a week or so prior, and he was like, I was like, yeah, I'm going back, and he was like, okay, if they have these sneakers that we were looking at for me last time, get them, but you have to get them down to this number.
What?
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, this is Nike. Like,
this is a chain store. This is not the market.
I was like, you're joking.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. And I was like, well, they have the discount because they used to do, like 30% off or whatever on the wall.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like, is that what you're talking? He's like, no. You have to get, like, you got to get it down to, however you do it, get it down to this number. Oh. And I was like, you're joking. And I did. I don't even remember. It was a story I told.
Yeah. Are you sure you don't have a discount code, like, right now that I could?
Exactly.
Just like a sale.
Exactly.
Right.
I was like, listen, I'm trying to, what did I say? I'm trying to surprise my dad and, like, something like that. Yeah, that was, like, once I got that and I walked out of the store and, like, held the receipt and I'm like, what just happened?
And
then I was like, we can, like, this is a game.
Scale this.
This is a game.
Yeah, it is. Life is a game.
Yes.
It is.
And I think that's so important to remember because we get, especially like you were saying earlier with LinkedIn, like we get caught up in the side quest games of showing instead of doing.
Right.
And it's like, no, like to your point, I want to travel. I'm gonna travel.
Getting on a flight. I'm pressing buttons. Like I'm moving the needle instead of just talking about the needle and where it could go.
Exactly. 100%. We are in the acting, not in the hypotheticals.
Right. I do, and then I tell stories later, which is the whole influencer thing.
Exactly.
I have to lead by example. I have to like do the thing to talk about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. And I love that story. I love that story because I think I had the same brain rewiring. Again, my dad. Yeah. I was about to graduate from high school, so I was still in high school, and he was like, he got an email about like, oh, if you're the kid of a military guy, apply to this scholarship.
Yeah.
I applied, I won it, and I was like, oh, God, like $1,000 for college. Like, cute. Yeah. I'll take money, why not? So I go to the ceremony thingy, and they're like shaking hands and kissing babies and stuff, and like, congrats to our winners, 12 of us. And then I find out later that they had 14 scholarships, and then there's only 12 winners. So I was like, I only won because I applied.
That's crazy.
And I was like, but no, same thing to you. I was like, we can scale this. You're telling me people just don't show up? It was like the grocery line all over again.
Yes.
People are just not trying. I don't even have to be the prettiest or the smartest or the richest or the most well-connected. I just have to show up.
Yes.
And ask.
Yeah.
Woo.
Exactly.
And that's been my whole life.
Yeah.
It's like, people, like, if you do anything, you're already beating 50%. If you do it really well, you're beating 75%. If you can tell your story really concisely, you're probably going to get whatever you want in life. Yeah. If you have the confidence to ask for it, go for it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was having a conversation the other day because like you, I'm such a hard worker.
Yeah. And you do the work.
Exactly.
Asterisk. You need to do all the work behind it, though. Once you see the results, it's kind of hard to not. People are like, where do you get the discipline to keep trying? Girl, look at the rewards. What?
Exactly.
I'm eating good.
As opposed to, like, why would I...
Standing in the long line.
Yes.
What? Yeah. Is it not obvious?
Yeah.
I'll learn the discipline to get what I want.
Exactly. I think that's such a great point, though, because I, like, in the group chat, often... We're like, it's a mix of we're founders and PhD candidates, and so we're just like, we've all kind of come up together, and we're all now like,
what a circle.
I know, it's insane.
It's huge.
So we're like constantly reminding each other, and I'm like, guys, like, yes, this is hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody said it was going to be easy.
Right.
But the fact that we just keep moving.
We're doing it, though.
We're doing it.
Well.
And I'm like, we're not even talking about the fact that we are hard workers and that we are strategic in how we think and, you know, and collaborate and like all those things, which just add to it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, it's literally like, if we show up, we've already beat half the competition.
Right.
So I love that.
It's hard. Yeah, it's not easy, but it is kind of simple. Yeah. Simple, but not easy.
Yeah.
Like, the template's there.
Right.
You do have to execute it.
Exactly.
You're going to be the one who wakes up early.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks.
Yep.
But if you know, especially, again, through trial and error, that you've done it enough that you're like, I'm going to see result, though. Like, I'm smart enough, I'm strategic enough, I'm capable enough that I know I'm not going to do something and get no result. Like, there have been plenty of times where I've applied for scholarships, PTOs, brand partnerships, where it's been a no then. And, like, a lot of people would be like, damn, I wasted my time.
Right.
Damn, like, I'm not good enough. Like, why am I even trying? Like, this is so dumb. A psycho like me is like, oh, I now have their email.
Right.
Let's blow them up.
Yes.
Or I'm like, oh, they know my name now.
I'll keep you
me in mind, though. Please. That's how your brain has to work.
Yes.
Like, there's no such thing as no.
Yeah.
There is only, like, not right now.
Right now.
Or, like, and oh my God, somebody knows, and then a month later they're like, hey, I know you're in, like, you're top of mind because I said no to you, but now we have this and you're perfect for it. So, like, I want to connect you. I would have never gotten there if I didn't get the no. So I think that's a huge part of it, is being like unperturbed by rejection. Like, there's literally no such thing in my mind. I cannot fathom rejection. There's no such thing.
Yeah, I love that. I was at a panel, what was it? I think it was last month ago. We were talking about like our advice for aspiring content creators or just people who wanted to work in like social first. And I was like, yeah, you got to get numb to the no's. And I turned to the panelists who were sitting with me and I was like, do you guys even pay attention to them anymore? And they were like, no, literally don't. The no's, the emails that go unresponded to, like, it's on.
I'm moving so fast, I literally do not even care.
Exactly.
Right. Where
did that self-assuredness in the, this isn't no, this is not right now, come from?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I'm asked that a lot. Like, I think that's back and forth with, like, you know, you traveled so young and you got a scholarship to school, like, all your successes, like, where, like, it always comes back to that question of, like, how are you so sure? And I can't even credit my dad for that one, because I feel like I was born like that, honestly. I feel like since a young age, I've been like, I have one life. I am the master of it. I'm the creator. I'm the artist in it. Like, if every action is a choice, even inaction, I'm going to choose the one that gets me closer to my goals. So I think I've always just been really disciplined growing up. I think that's at the bottom of it, is like, I don't get distracted that easy, I think, with side quests. I think I keep a vision in mind, all that stuff. It comes down to discipline. Like, I used to coach kids, or was it tutor kids in high school? That was like my little first entrepreneurial job. I'm like, why work at the ice cream shop when I can get paid $20 an hour to like teach a first grader how to read? Like, I can do that. So I would do that, and they're like, how, like, where do you get the disciplines? Like, make business cards and like keep a schedule and stuff. And I'm like, the alternative sucks worse. Like, it really is just the mindset. So no, I think I think some of that is just natural, but also I think I have, at some point, I'm sure, chosen the easy way and then regretted it. So I'm like, I've chosen the easy way and not applied, and seen all my friends get a scholarship.
Yeah.
Or I've seen people get the job I wanted, and I'm like, I'm definitely smarter than them, or like, I would do that differently. I could have done better than that. And I'm like, it's just because I didn't even show up. If I had just shown up. So it's trial and error, being like, no, not doing it sucks worse. I'll do it.
Yeah. I always say, I'm like, there is no plan B.
Right.
There's no other option.
Right.
This is what we're doing. So either we're gonna like keep moving and it's gonna work out, or we're gonna keep moving and we'll fail forward.
Right.
But like, what else is there?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that honestly there is a lot of privilege with having that mindset security. Like graduating without college debt. I was $0 when I graduated. At least I wasn't negative 50,000,
right?
Negative 75,000, which I think for someone like me, like I'm ruminating. I'm like, how am I gonna get out of debt? Like how, like that can really take up a lot of your mental space. So like being ahead, because I was ahead before, like applying to scholarships and stuff. So there's a strategy involved with it. I think that's where like mentorship has come in for me. That's where just a curiosity. Like I'm a YouTube girl. If I don't know how to do something, what was I YouTubing today? I think it was like YouTube intros. Literally YouTube video intros. I'm like, instead of being like, oh, I think what's funny in 5 seconds. No, I'm gonna watch 60,000 videos and like I'm gonna educate myself and I'm gonna go out of my way. So just having that initiative and ambition and setting myself up for success instead of setting myself up for failure. Like I'm gonna lay as much groundwork as I can at all times and kind of keep a constant buzz of like setting up groundwork, networking, investing in myself, whatever. So that when the opportunity comes, it's preparation meets opportunity. Yeah. And not like, there's something here, like, well, let me try to, scramble. I want to be perfectly on time. I want to feel like that. Yes. That's like, alignment.
I've been waiting for you.
Hello. That's how I want to feel, and not like, oh, no, I have to balance all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. That's like the flow of my life. I want to feel like that.
I love that. That is vision board worthy. Right. I think for sure. We'll like print out just the picture of you.
Please screenshot that. I need like a discipline is peace.
Yes. Yeah. No, we hear that a lot in athletics of like discipline equals freedom. Yeah. And that's, I think, the part that it's so easy to overlook. Yeah. Because discipline isn't easy.
It's the worst. It's boring. It's not a sexy story. Yeah.
But
the results are sexy. And
exactly. The trade-off is pretty good.
The trade-off is great. It is. And like I said, I think there is a lot of, in the creative world, in marketing, but just in life, I think it is more fun to be busy than it is to be productive.
Yes. Talk about that more.
She said, pause there.
Yes. Yes. Because I was just having this conversation and it was mildly controversial. Because somebody was telling me and they were like, yeah, like I'm trying to be busy today. And I was like, don't do that.
Busy sounds awful.
Be productive. And she was like, well, I'm trying to be both. And I was like, no.
Only be productive and then go relax.
Right. So, yes, talk about that.
Yeah, I think that we're on social media, so I think we see it the most of, like, curation. Yes. Of people curating, like, wow, I went to 16 meetings today. Wow, like, I talked to so many people. I was shaking hands. I was kissing babies. I'm in so many photos at the NASDAQ tower, and it looks busy. It looks like people get jealous of that. They're like, wow. He's doing so much, I'm doing so little. All of that could be making him $0. All of that could be spending 16 hours of his day to go home and have 0 emails, 0 offers, 0, like that isn't moving the needle. And so when it comes down to productivity, which is what I try to be, always try to be moving the needle. So I'd rather take one meeting that makes me DK and do it as 16 meetings just to get 16 pictures. Right. Right. Like, I want stuff that, like, I mean, I had a meeting the other day. Actually, I went to South by Southwest. I met a great person who works in influencer marketing, and I was like, you know, I have no insight into the agency side of things. Mm-hmm. I would love to spend an hour talking to you and just ask you all the questions. And she's like, honestly, like, I get a lot of asks like this, and, like, an hour kind of sucks. Like, if you can prove to me that you're going to make it, like, a productive hour and not just, like, we're going to be blabbing, kikiing back and forth, then yeah. And I was like, you go, your girl? Yeah, bet. So I was like, I'll send questions ahead of time. You can look at them and see. I sat down, I think that night, and spent an all-nighter thinking about, like, if I had 10 minutes with someone who could just tell me everything I would want to know, that could unlock secrets and all this stuff for me, what would I ask her? And I made a list of, like, 10 concise, pinpoint, specific, screenshot for reference questions. Yeah. And she glanced at them and she's like, let's meet tomorrow. And on the call, she's like, whoa, I could already tell from the way you ask these questions, the questions you've asked, like, the fact that you're having this meeting, like, the way I, like, kind of stayed on topic during the call, she's like, I can tell that you're going to take this information and, like, triple it, double it, and scale it, instead of, like, well, so, like, what is an agent? I can Google that.
Right.
Don't ask me something I can Google. So, like, that's the kind of stuff that's productive. Because I could have been like, oh, I just want her to like me after this call. Like, let's talk about anything. Let's ask about your dog. No, bro. We're moving the needle. Tell me something juicy right now. And she was like, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
If you ask. And I'm like, what do you think? So, yeah, that's kind of the mindset of, like, I want to have fun, but you have fun by getting where you need to go and then relaxing. Not relaxing and hoping you end up there.
Yes. Networking is such a challenging thing, I think, for some.
Yeah, it's not for me, but... Real though. If you like it. Exactly. Because there's old networking, right? There's...
Exactly. The old...
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Oh, my golf buddy.
Right.
For old white men.
Yes.
And then there's the new networking that involves social media.
Yes.
That involves being a young, casual person. Like, it's new. So I like new networking. Old networking is awful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be... I think the tricky part is getting caught up in the, like, how this is supposed to go.
Right.
Versus, like, these are just humans.
We're actually...
Literally just
be
humans.
normal.
Yeah. Exactly. Just... So, like, I am the queen of compliments. Just generally, I'm, like, the biggest type woman.
It opens doors.
Exactly. But I'm, like, I'll see you across the room and be like, girl, those shoes, though.
No, right.
And why are we besties? Like...
No, that was me on the photo shoot right before coming here. Was, like... in the street, and you just honestly love black people. It's all they're like, yes, you better work. And they're like, wait, let me come over and hold that for you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, now I know you. Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, just being a warm person actually is going to open a lot more doors than, like, here's my card.
Exactly.
Do you care about what I do or who I work for?
Exactly. And I think that is such an indicator. That's something that I use now for sure, because I do a lot of the cool new networking.
Yeah.
But I also still have a lot of the not so cool old networking.
Yeah.
That I kind of have to be part of.
Knowing your audience.
Exactly. So it's a real quick, like, way to tell and almost pre-qualify to, like, go into sales terms. But I can tell if you, depending on, like, how you introduce yourself. Yeah. I was at a sports conference last year. I know, first yellow flag. You're like, ooh, questionable.
No, I love it. Like, read it. Like, tell us the ins and outs.
So I think this was the last day. So we'd already been there for 2.5 days, and we're all, like, missing each other, sprinting back and forth, trying to catch the keynotes and, like, all the things. And I had quite a few people that I had connected with that were, like, super dope, doing crazy cool things across different sports. We love to see it. I get introduced to this guy, and I get the person who introduces me. We had met on the first day, so, like, we were already kind of vibing. And she kind of gives me this look as she's introducing me to him. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I see you. Thank you. And I, like, go for a handshake because, duh. He hands me his card. I was like, okay, first concern. I'm like, okay, I'll move past that. Maybe you just...
Are you president of the world? Like,
don't have many... Right. Maybe you just don't have many social skills. And I'm like, okay, so, like, what do you do? Yeah. This is like I said, it was a sports conference. It's a mix. We've got collegiate athletes, we've got agents, we have media, a bunch of different industries. He's like, it's on the card. I'm sorry. I beg your finest pardon.
That's what I'm saying. Of all the ways to interact, you're choosing this one. That is interesting.
Thank you.
That's an interesting choice, an active choice.
So I ignore that because I'm like, I'm certainly not giving you the satisfaction of looking at your card in front of you. Right. No. And I was like, okay, so your agency. And he was like, what would make you think that? And in that moment, obviously, I had many a choice. But I was like, I don't know, it was just something. And I was like, so fell, huh? And
clock.
Yeah, I have a couple football players. And that, like, opened it up, and now he's spewing names and, like, first of all.
Name dropping.
All these people you ain't never heard of. But that's beside the point. I was like, oh, not the 37th round draft pick from, like,
from Boise?
1917. That's crazy. Right. Love that you have him signed.
Yeah.
You guys have done what? Nothing? Okay.
I think that's a really important point, actually. That you're like, I'm going to fake it till I make it. Great concept. I want our execution to be realistic and just know that people can clock cocky
100%.
as projection.
100%.
To be honest. People can clock, like, oh, I'm a cool kid. No, it looks insecure. Like, but normal people can sense normal things. So if we're faking it till we make it, I think the better thing would be to be vulnerable and just be like, never been to one of these, but like, really excited to meet you. That's more welcoming than
exactly.
the card, babe.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the funniest thing for me as I've like been outside more and I'm, you know, going to the events and like doing the things.
Yeah.
The people who are actually doing things, don't talk about them.
No, they're chill.
They're not like, you didn't introduce yourself with, this is how many Instagram followers I have.
No.
The people who bought them or like are not really doing the thing are doing that. But the people who are legit, like, we're business people, we're hard workers, like, we're making things happen, are like, hey, like, nice to meet you. Like, super chill, super normal.
Casual.
To connect.
To meet another human being.
And I think when you can, you know that you can lean back and rest on your authenticity.
Yes.
In the sense of like, yeah, no, like I'm not to be arrogant, but yes, this is what I've done. I'm here, I'm sitting in this. Nice to meet you.
Resting on your authenticity literally needs to be one of those like in offices, like huge. Yes. Because that's what you're doing. When you know you got it, you can relax. When you're not sure, like, do people care? Like, when you're that insecure, you can't relax. You cannot rest on your authenticity. You hate.
Yes.
Like, figure that out. But no, you're so right. That's like the best way to term it is like, I'm good. I don't need to do all that. If you ask me, I can tell you because I actually am happy. And honestly, that comes with having 1,000 followers. Just being like, you know, I'm at the beginning of something big. Resting. That's the truth and I'm resting on it. But when you're like, oh, you know, I'm an Instagrammer, well, don't worry about the number. Like,
right.
Same truth, two different perspectives, like two different ways.
Different fonts.
Different fonts, right. And like people can read both.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. And I think we want to underline.
Yeah.
There's a difference between resting.
Right.
And being complacent.
No, there's a difference. Yeah.
We are resting in our authenticity and like fully accepting that this is where we are and we're owning that.
Right.
While we're still working.
Right.
We're not settling.
I'm on the cusp of something big.
Exactly.
Not, I am the diner.
Exactly.
Exactly. We're in motion. It's a verb.
Thing. Yeah.
It's a verb. We're doing things. Yeah. We're in action. We're in the middle of something great.
I really am obsessed with your hair.
Thank you.
It looks so good.
Imagine detangling this color. Ooh, real. Okay, so I had my natural color my whole life. My dad permed me when I was 12. Ooh. That's why I'm not in the Olympics.
Okay.
So I almost went to Olympics for gymnastics. My dad permed my hair.
So we were so close.
It was literally Simone Biles was like, and then you know, I hold some resentment from that. But it was always like chemical treatment, which was what I had to or color. And so now I've been natural for so long, I'm like, oh, I can finally do a color. 2 years ago, I tried to get highlights, fried off on my hair. Like, that was cute. I was like, okay, I guess I need an expert. So I went to a place in Brooklyn, would love to plug her, Your Hair's Best Friend. Irene from Your Hair's Best Friend, she's a genius. And I was like, I want blonde, but I don't want my hair to fall off. And she gave me this nice gold auburn. Yeah. And so I'm about to go back and get these roots touched up. But yeah, I had like, the hair is such a big part of your brand. As a Black woman, your hair is so much of your identity and like caring for it. It's like, it's part of your ritual. It's like a part of your identity in so many ways. So I'm now blonde fro girl. Already though, people have been like, today someone was like, Gabby Peck's light? I'm like, I can't hide. Like this is too identifiable.
It's too signature.
But that's how you know the branding's working, I guess.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Blonde fro.
Okay, so products.
Oh, real.
Because we did say we were going to talk about this. How?
Great question.
Just start there.
Blanket how? Yeah, I do like traveling as a natural girly. I love the fro. I like it's part of, I think, the mission, to like bring the fro to China, to bring the fro to Brazil, like representing. Yeah, it takes natural products to do that, conditioners, getting my hair braided. I just was in Kenya and I posted a video about getting my hair braided there. People loved it. So yeah, it's a lot of upkeep, but the products I cannot live without. TPH, Taraji P. Henson, she just dropped a hairline and she has like a detangler crack. And I think it's 3.4 ounces.
Okay.
If it's not, it's 4 ounces and I put it in a baby one. So that is crack, and like that's what I'm like, this is cute. Detangling this later should be illegal. Like, it's gonna take 6 hours. Yeah. The detangler really actually works. So I love that. Like that, I can slick it back really quick. I can like fix it really quick. You know what? I wish I had it with me. Batiste dry shampoo. When I'm in braids and I'm like, week 2, week 3, I'm going to the gym. I'm like, dry shampoo. Amazing. And they have dry shampoo that's like dark hair. And they have ones that are like sweat only. So like really, I love a dry shampoo because I get like the bust down braids. I do not want to wash that. Like it's to be wet for 3 days. So I love a dry shampoo. And then finally, I gotta have like, most places you can find conditioner. Black Country, please. We can find oils, like we can find that there. Gels. I have a favorite gel. It is the Pattern, like Stronghold. It's usually like a little baby one.
Oh, okay.
Pattern Beauty gel, extra hold gel. And like that is what keeps the definition. I can go like 3 or 4 days with one fro.
Wow.
So that's like the deep secret. After trial and error is like those 3 products. I can make anything happen.
Amazing. And how easily have you found them?
Oh no, you can't. So it's 3.4 ounces if you're carry-on only, as I try to be. It's funny because growing up, like I said, we make things stretch. We wear hand-me-downs, things like that, and like we made conditioner stretch. Or my dad would put freaking water in the dish soap and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm used to getting by with a little bit of product, and now living on my own and like having financial security, I can make stuff stretch still. And it's been funny actually, the struggle of like like my makeup. I want to do more makeup now that I have a house and stuff. Like I can buy stuff and like keep it there.
Yeah.
And like I've been working with my makeup friend. She's like, girl, you don't use enough foundation. I'm like, yeah, but I need to stretch 2 months with it. She's like, no, you don't. I'm like that rewiring has been hard. So I'm actually okay with making things stretch and getting a protective style and like way back and forth with that. But actually using too much product has been the struggle now.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that you're like, you have the wiggle room.
I have the grace to buy another one. We can just Amazon it. I'm like, this is luxury. yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, so travel. I feel like we should do like some travel quick picks. Who's better to have the recommendations than you?
Yeah.
So a question that I get often is about favorite airlines and like airline partners. Do you have a favorite international airline? That's I feel like a loaded question because like not everybody goes everywhere, but like generally.
Yes, favorite airline. If I'm getting on a plane, Emirates. If I'm here in the U.S., SkyTeam, Delta. I'm a Delta girl. SkyTeam, best partners, no competition.
Agreed entirely.
Are you? You're a Delta girl.
Yeah. Oh, through and through.
The red. No,
absolutely. Delta and KLM.
KLM, Air France-KLM. Love that.
Air France. We don't really speak about her. Yeah.
I think they're like twin them.
Oh, they are, but not for me.
You're one.
Yeah.
Okay.
The bags disappear.
No, actually, anytime I touch Charles de Gaulle, Charles takes them. Charles will be like, thank you for your contribution. I'm like, no, only Charles de Gaulle and Newark. I hate Newark Airport.
Yes.
Take my bags, making me delay my layovers, miss my flight. Why?
Recheck. Just
we should go out.
They're not going to tell me that I have to recheck.
No, but when I get there, a rude Frenchman will be like, it's a fucking BT. It's like, yeah. So maybe you have airport beef more than airline beef.
Yeah.
Because why?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. What's on your travel playlist?
Ooh, Musically, who's involved in the Packslate experience. You know, I have such a chaotic playlist. I'm just gonna name a few, and then people can judge me. It's gotta be Beyonce, but like Destiny's Child. The Chicks, so random. Not a big fan of country music, but like I think my mom raised me on the Chicks, so like the Chicks. I was just in Kenya, so randomly, with a press trip, and someone played Pink, Just Like a Pill. So old, but everyone knew the song, and I was like, we were at the same place at the same time to know the song. So like old Pink, SZA plays like everything R&B. Drake's on there, older Drake though. And yeah, just really, I'm like an R&B girly. I'm a lyrics girly. I'm never gonna be like, it's not there for me. I'm like, I can't lose. Like I need like lyrics. I need to have a ballad. I need to be like, crying in the Uber. So anything with great lyrics, I'm a vibe for.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the Drake?
Drake Kendrick beef?
Yeah.
My thoughts. Drake is a clown and a culture vulture and a little beach. And Kendrick is a artist lyricist. So those are the thoughts. But what men do, it's like the birds are birding. Right, so I actually don't care.
Yeah, that's so funny. I love that. That's such a great summary.
Right.
Like my thoughts.
Objectively, that's it. But no, they're literally, are they not gossiping and like writing poetry ballads to each other? Like, it's kind of cute.
Not It's a Love Story.
Oh my god, it's kind of cute. Love enemies to lovers.
Right.
A big fan of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for the potential.
Yeah. Exactly. As it goes down in history, for sure. That's what I'm hearing, that's what it's looking like.
Right.
I have to catch up on like all the things because I wanted to like do a deep dive and it was happening so sporadically as I was on and off planes.
Right.
So I was like, I can't miss out in the middle. I'll wait and catch up.
Ultimately, it's just two grown men writing each other love stories, which is beautiful and weird at the same time.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a great I feel like, yeah. This has been a fantastic conversation.
It has.
We knew it was going to be.
I knew it energetically, but really I've gotten into topics I have like never been asked about or like really been able to dig into, so I've had a great time.
Yay! I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You are the best. Where can the people find you?
If you would like to be pulled into my gravity, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all of them are Paxlight, PACKSLIGHT. Or you can Google Gabby Beckford and I'm sure I'll come up somewhere.
Newly, LinkedIn Top Voice.
LinkedIn Top
Voice.
We
have to plug that as well.
LinkedIn babes, tap in on LinkedIn. I just hit like 10K followers on LinkedIn, so somehow that's more exciting than like the Instagram 10K. I'm like, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So connect.
Been killing it. She writes too, so.
I do that as well sometimes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amazing. Yes, thank you again. Before you go, resource recommendations. Books that you're feeling, podcasts you love.
I'm reading a book right now called Silent Agreements, and I really think that if you're interested in like boundary setting or just better communication or like telling your story better, I think it's a great book. It's like about the complacency we accidentally fall into and like vocalizing for yourself more, so I love that book. Other favorite books, the book that got me mentally from like working my 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur was The 4-Hour Workweek. It's like a common thing, but once it's like, you know, I don't even know if it's the best book, but that's just like it's like a canon event. You can't not read it.
Yeah.
So just do it. Shows maybe that I've liked. I loved, you know, this is so weird because I'm not sure I like her specifically as a person, but I loved Goop. I love like seeing Gwyneth Paltrow's like behind the scenes of like growing Goop. So like look into Goop and her startup of that. Really about getting out of your own way. I think if you were to look into a genre of book, it's really that should be mindset.
You're the best. We hope that this episode was valuable for you. And don't forget to find Gabby on all the things. Any travel question I feel like that you've ever wanted answered, she has probably already answered, so look for it first.
And no, type it into the search bar.
Exactly.
And then
before you DM
comment
her.
it.
Exactly.
Don't even DM it. The DMs are closed.
Yeah.
Comment it and I'll see it.
Yes. Until next time, keep ascending.